What's up, my wonderful friends? I'm Cole Sager, and today I wanted to talk about some of the things that have helped me learn and become more efficient at doing ring muscle ups. Guys, welcome back to another barbell talk. Remember, these are things and ideas, some tips and advice that I would give to you if you're hanging out here in the garage or we were just got done throwing down in a workout or something and I just saw something that might be able to help you. This is the kind of advice and the time that I would take to just kind of sit and help you with something that I might see. So I hope you enjoy this. First off, I want to set the tone and just say, when I learned how to do ring muscle ups, I wasn't in a good spot to learn how to do ring muscle ups. I personally was fresh out of college football, weighing in at like 215 pounds. I had terrible overhead mobility. My shoulder mobility wasn't very good. I hadn't ever really done gymnastics movements, and I was actually still learning how to do the butterfly kipping pull-up. So let's get rid of any predetermined notions on your ability to do muscle ups. Because if I could back then, I know you can. Really, when it came down to it, what helped me learn how to do the muscle up was just realizing that the muscle up is just a transfer of energy, requires a little bit of mobility, and a really violent hip pop. From there, the rest kind of starts to take care of itself. So here are 3 common mistakes that you do not want to make. What I often see when people are trying to do muscle ups is poor hip extension. People think that if they get their feet high enough in the swing, that means that they're good. Because they got their feet high enough, they should be able to get the muscle up. But it doesn't quite work that way. And then people will pull themselves into the rings too early. But in fact, you don't want to pull yourself into the rings. You want to stay back and away from the rings, allowing space to turn over quickly. And then when people go to turn over, they have really slow elbows, and oftentimes they'll pull the ring into themselves and they'll bend their wrists, but they leave their elbows behind. And what you want to do is you want to get your elbows up and turned over quicker. That's going to help give you the support that you need in order to get the muscle up and press out of it. Video yourself doing some muscle ups and see if you can identify if you're doing one of those 3 things. Maybe you're doing one of them, maybe you're doing all 3. And if you can see that and find that, then we know what we can fix, and we're going to be swinging, doing muscle ups left and right. That was weird. Now, before I get into some of my tips that have helped me, there are some things that you might see in some other instructional videos that are really important to keep in mind when learning how or trying to become more efficient at the ring muscle up. First and foremost, you want to stay streamlined. You want to make sure that when your feet are swinging forward, you want to pass through a hollow body, making sure that your core is tight and pieced together with your legs so the energy can transfer through you. You want to make sure that your chest is facing forward. You want to expose it forward, because if you let your chest rise too much and face the ceiling, you're not going to be in a good position to be able to turn over fast. You're going to be fighting your own momentum in your own body. Throughout the swing of the muscle up, keep your toes pointed. It's going to elongate your body and allow you to transfer energy more efficiently. And another point is keep your glutes tight. When you're in your backswing, you want to be long and have your glutes tight. Your legs should actually be engaged. This is going to help generate more force moving forward. And then once you've turned over and you've caught yourself in the bottom of the muscle up, make sure you pike your hips backwards, get in a hollow position, and press yourself out. Pushing your hips back a little bit will shorten the distance that you need to travel in order to get a full lockout. Now, let's get into some of the fun things that helped me learn how to do muscle ups. While going through your swing, one of the most important things I realized was being as long as possible at the bottom of my swing. So as I did my backswing, when I'm coming forward and my feet are hitting that climactic point at the bottom, being as long as possible at that point. And the reason for that is because through that transfer of energy, when you start to generate momentum, if you're as long as possible, you're creating more momentum because you have a longer lever that when you stop it, you're gonna transfer more energy through your body and help give you a bigger lift. And then as soon as I have come forward and my feet have started to get to the point where I can see them, and I'll look down my body, and as soon as I can see my feet, I violently stop them where they're at. And again, remember, I'm staying as long as possible. So if I'm staying long, once I stop my feet, that energy that I have generated through the momentum of my swing is gonna stop and it's gonna transfer up my legs as long as I keep my legs straight. If you bend your knees, that momentum will be lost through your knees when you bend that joint. So make sure you keep your legs long, your body streamlined, And as soon as you stop your feet, that's gonna allow you to transfer that up to your hips. And then as soon as that has transferred up to your hips, that's when you gotta pop your hips violently. You gotta make sure that you get a big bow and a big C shape, and you pop your hips so hard, keeping your chest pointed forward as well, like we talked about earlier. And that's what's gonna give you lift. That's what you need to lift your body up and over the rings. And once you feel that pop and that lift, as soon as you pop your hips, I want you to think about turning your elbows over as fast as you possibly can, because as soon as you hit that pop of your hips and you get that lift, you're now coming up and through the rings, and you need to be able to catch yourself. And the way that you're gonna be able to do that the best is by violently turning over your elbows, because that's also gonna pull your torso and your core forward and allow you to catch and stabilize yourself, support yourself on top of the ring. And if you look at the ring, if you go back and you watch videos of people doing muscle ups, you'll see that their hand, if they're having an open hand grip, their hands, when they're swinging through the bottom of the muscle up, their knuckles are facing up. But as soon as they pop their hips and they start their turnover, their knuckles are facing the ground and their elbow is stacked over their wrist. If your elbows are not stacked over your wrist, you're not gonna be able to support yourself in this position. I want you to try to get into a rings. I want you to try to hold yourself in this position. It is really hard to do. You gotta be really strong in some weird ways in order to do it. I don't think you're gonna be able to. I sure as heck can't. So make sure that you get your elbows turned over, elbows stacked over your wrist, and knuckles facing down. This is a supported position. You're gonna be able to sit in the bottom of a muscle up and support yourself just fine here. Now it's a matter of either getting a good kip, pushing your hips back and shortening the distance, and being able to press out. I love talking about the muscle up. It's one of my favorite movements in CrossFit, if not my favorite movement, because it was one that did not come easily. And it was one that I probably should not have been very good at, but I'm super confident in it because I learned some tricks that helped me do the muscle up a little bit more efficiently, even though I'm considered a big guy. Those are the things that helped me. I still practice those things to this day, and I have seen it work wonders. But I also recognize that it's a lot easier said than done. So if you need to, go down to lower rings and do some drills on the rings. Practice turning your elbows over faster. Lean back on the rings and turn over as fast as you can on the rings. Practice maybe popping your hips on the rings, on lower rings, or once you turn over, creating that distance away from the ring by pushing your hips back, and that shortens the distance again to press out. Practice those things, kind of drill it and drill it and drill it, so when you get to the high rings, it's ingrained in you and you're able to do it. Another great thing to drill is to jump up in the rings and just practice your hollow swings. Going back and forth in a hollow swing, starting to get bigger and bigger swings, creating bigger momentum. And once you start to feel like you've gotten your maximum momentum you can, then attempt the muscle up. At that point, give it everything you got and see what you got. Because I realize that some people may not be able to just jump up into the rings and create the momentum, generate the momentum that they need right then. You might practice going through that swing, building momentum, and then go. And one of the things that I've noticed in my muscle ups and when Genesee does muscle ups is, in order to start the muscle up without doing a couple kipping swings to generate momentum, we'll jump up and we'll kind of tuck our knees out in front of us a little bit, just kind of put our legs out in front of us when we jump up, and then let our legs swing behind us. That allows that momentum to be generated. So again, we jump up, our knees are kind of in front of us when we jump up onto the rings. We let our feet swing backwards, we're back, and then we generate momentum forward and we start our muscle up. Try doing that, I think it'll help. All right guys, this has been fun. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please, if you go and attempt a muscle up and it's your first muscle up or your first string of muscle ups, take a video of it and tag me on Instagram at ColeSager35. I love seeing muscle up videos. I love seeing people getting their first muscle up, especially in the open or in the gym environment when people are yelling and cheering. I love seeing that, so make sure you tag me in those. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future content like this. And guys, see you in the next video. Peace. See you later.